Right, I'm here with Alyssa Bonagura.
Yes.
Great to be with you.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you over here. Great to have you over from the States.
Thank you.
We were just talking a bit off camera about your relationship with America and the United Kingdom, and obviously, I think one of the things that struck us at Scarlet River Management when we were reading your bios and things like that was that, dare I say, cross-contamination between US and English influences and how that comes through in your music. I just wanted really to ask if you could elaborate on that and how you feel the English side comes through in your writing, or does it? Is that something that's part of your music?
Oh my gosh, totally the English side of just English music in general. I've been really inspired by since I was a kid. My mom used to play me a lot of like Irish folk music, like Mary Black and I'm trying to think of Joni Mitchell I grew up listening to, and that was kind of folk, you know what I mean? But my parents were in country music, and so I was constantly getting this like cross-contamination of American country and Irish folk music, and then I dove into, bands like the Beatles, obviously, because my dad was completely obsessed with the Beatles, and so I've always been really influenced by that. And I always feel like when you talk to like a British person, they're really influenced by American music, and Americans are really influenced by British music.
Yeah.
But I went to college in Liverpool at the Paul McCartney School, and I was like, it was the only place I applied when I heard about it because I wanted to be a producer and kind of get my songs down on tape. And I told myself if I got in, I would go, and if I didn't get in, I would just do music like 24/7. And I got in on a full ride scholarship, so I was like, okay, this is my destiny. And so I came to England, and I'm an only child, so it was like I was 18 years old in Liverpool for the first time, and it was amazing. And I was in the heart of music, and it was very similar to Nashville, because in Liverpool they've got all different kinds of music, from EDM to rock and roll to country to folk to you name it, pop, anything. And Nashville's a lot like that too. Yeah. But you don't realize that until you go there. You know what I mean? So I was influenced by so much stuff. Coldplay's a huge influence of mine too.
Right.
I think Chris Martin's a genius.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I totally understand. So it's one of those things in Nashville, isn't it? When I've been there, you have to kind of explore and find those places. If you go there and go down Broadway, you're not going to find that. Yeah. But as soon as you start spreading out, there's always other little crops of different music and different styles coming through, aren't there? Yeah,
all the different clubs. I mean, you go to like 3rd and Lindsley and you can hear like the Time Jumpers with Vince Gill, or you can hear, the Staves from England. Yeah. So it's like, it just really depends. It's really awesome.
For sure. One of the things you mentioned there was the production thing and wanting to produce. Was that to produce to make your songs as an artist, to just be able to capture the emotions, capture that yourself?
Yeah, my dad and I, when I was a kid, he started building a studio in our attic. So it was kind of like above our garage, we had this like space, and for years it was just a board that he had found, like an old Trident board that he had found, some outboard gear, and then like beams, and we would like go up there in our coats and freeze in the winter and like record. But he got me an 8-track mini disc recorder, and that's what I started learning on. And I just kind of out of curiosity, kind of became obsessed with harmonies. My parents were a harmony group, so I grew up listening to them sing. And so I was really into layered harmonies and putting down guitar parts that I was creating and then putting a piano over it. And so my dad was like, well, what you're doing is producing. And I was like, tell me about that, And so I just started becoming obsessed with recording. And so that's kind of how it started. But really it was to get my ideas down, because when I write a song, I hear the whole thing in my head, like the whole production. If I write a song, I know exactly what I want it to sound like, and I was getting frustrated not like having that. And so that's why I wanted to do it.
Absolutely. Do you find that becomes frustrating when it comes further down the line? So going from producing the record and being in the studio and tracking the parts, then to get in the mix stage, do you ever find frustration that it doesn't quite come out, and do you find you have to be quite hands-on with that stage of the process? Or?
Yeah, I find that quite often actually, and and mixing is a whole nother animal. Like you really have to spend time with it. And sometimes actually when you're producing your own music, I find it harder to mix my own music, because it's like I've been in it too much, and I need to like take a step back and get someone else's ears on it and say, no, that part was really good, it needs to be turned up, or like that doesn't even need to be there, let's mute that, you know. It almost becomes a production in itself to have the right mixing engineer. But I just got to mix Michelle Branch's new project in America, and that was so cool for her to ask me to do that, because I never really get to mix like other things. I've done a couple things, like some stuff for Jesse James Decker, which is so fun, but normally I'm just kind of doing my own thing and touring, or I was working on the Sisterhood Band project when I was in that band. But this has been really fun for me because it's one of my favorite artists, and getting to mix her songs and like know them so well has been really fun. So mixing is really important. But I think it's really important to make sure that you love it. You know what I mean? The other thing is like knowing when to walk away. And like knowing when it's done and being like, okay, you know what? I just spent like 4 days on this mix. I think I need to walk away. And the walk away is the most important part, because when you walk away and you come back to it, I think you always hear it differently. So
absolutely. When it comes to songwriting and producing, has that influenced your collaborations and the writing you've done with other artists? I know you've had some cuts with artists all over the world. Has that really been a benefit to you as a songwriter?
Yeah, it's been really beneficial to have cuts with other artists. I think because I learned that a lot of the songs that I get cut are songs that I write about my life. And so it's like, it means that they're connecting with other people, and that's all you can ever hope for, you know? But yeah, I mean, like writing with Jessie has been so much fun. She's got this like edginess to her that I love writing with her. And we also are like finish each other's sentences, co-writers together. Like we just get in a room and we write a song in like 30 minutes and we're done. And like working with Steven Tyler was really amazing. That was a whole magical moment for me, to be in the studio with him. That was like crazy. So yeah, I think they all influenced me throughout, and you kind of hear that in my new music, I think, because it's a little bit of everything. It's a little bit country, a little bit rock and roll, a little bit folk, a little bit pop, and I think it's good to do all those things. And you know, I mean, it's just music.
Absolutely. No, I think
I'm still me. You know?
And
so
that's the most
like,
important bit. That's something as well. With your music, there's definitely having to listen through your first record and your second record, and there's definitely in the latest single, there's definitely a combination of kind of those different styles I almost hear.
Thanks.
And I can hear that Joni Mitchell element you talk about, but also there's definitely a thread. Some of it's the production in terms of the instruments you're using and things like that. But is that just not at all?
That's really cool.
It's you is the thing that I was thinking, and you saying that's your art, isn't it? That is you as a form and everything being you. How essential is that to you in terms of going forward? And has it always been about just being you in those moments? Is that first album you in that moment, and then now we're seeing the kind of combination?
Oh yeah, I think that you have to creatively follow where you're at from moment to moment. And I'm actually like that in general. Like I'm a moment person. I love like being in the moment, being present. And you know, that takes you to some really cool places sometimes, you know, not knowing what comes next. And I think music is like that too. And, you know, with my first record was the English Diaries, and I did that when I was in college, and I recorded it in my flat. It was like, I think it was called Lennon Studios, because John Lennon was born in this women's hospital, and they turned it into like an apartment complex. And I always felt like there was some really good juju there. And so I was like, I'm just gonna record as much as I can. And it was so funny because I was recording that record, but at the same time I was, you know, getting graded for things in music production, and one of those things was like doing a full band production of my own song, and it just like wasn't connecting. Like when someone was listening to it, it wasn't connecting with them. And so at the end of the year, I turned in this whole project I'd worked on for like months and months, a full band. Like I had the best players in Nashville play on it, and like I mixed it myself, and my professor was like, you know, he was like, it's not that it's not bad, it's just not connecting. And I was like, well, can I play this other thing I've been working on? Which was like in my bedroom on one microphone. And he was like, why didn't you turn this in? And I said, well, I thought maybe it was just not, you know, maybe it needed to be this big thing. And he was like, Alyssa, production and music, it's all about connecting. So I think that I'm just always trying to, ever since that moment, I've been trying to like just do what the song needs. Sure. And sometimes the song needs to be by itself with a piano and vocal, and sometimes the song needs to be a big production, and sometimes it needs to be a little bit more pop or a little bit more country. and just seeing what the song needs, I think, is really important. So
absolutely. That sounds like, for me listening to your records, that was almost like, correct me if I'm wrong, but that sounds like it was a lesson that you've almost learned and just taken that, and it's
totally.
When listening to your records, you get the essence of the song.
Thanks.
And it's got everything you need, but nothing more.
Oh, thank you.
And you haven't fallen into the tropes of the kind of what everybody else is doing, I'd say. Is that something you actively try to avoid, or is it something that you just try, it just isn't you?
Well, you know, I think I learned a lot in the last 5 years being in a band. We were signed to a major label, and we were writing all the time, trying to get on radio. And for a while, when you're doing it for fun, when you're creating, I kind of think of it like a painter, you know what I mean? Like when Van Gogh's I would imagine when Van Gogh was painting, it's like you see Van Gogh and everything he does, but he chooses different things to paint, and each has their own kind of vibe, you know?
Yeah.
And with music, it's really similar, because if you write a country song on Music Row with amazing writers, you're gonna come out with a Music Row country song, you know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just it's its own vibe. And so I think that like we started maybe writing for that and aimed that, and then I felt like we lost a bit of who we were because we were trying to chase a sound.
Yeah.
So I think for me, going into 2020, it was like when the band broke up and everything was changing, I went back to like, what is Alyssa like? You know, like what are all the things that I like that I haven't been able to do in a really long time?
Yeah.
And that was chasing the moment of the song. And so all the songs that I worked on during the pandemic were like New Wings and a bunch of other songs you'll hear in the coming months. But like all those songs were just moment songs, and like some are more Coldplay and some are more, you know, Bonnie Raitt. And I think it's just really important to chase that and always continue to be who you are and not ever try and chase a sound.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think that's how you get lost.
No, I completely
That's
understand.
how I got lost.
Yeah, no, I understand. When I was listening to your records, I thought one of the things about them was the folky element.
Cool.
Really aligns with the UK scene. Do you know much about the UK scene? Have you been invested in it much? Or is it something that doesn't really, you were talking about being with those great session bands in Nashville, and then does that collaboration ever come across here, or does it kind of, you always stay there and then you're kind of working to tour and release it?
Well, it's funny you say that, because I think I always feel more at home here when I come and play for the audiences here, because I just feel like you guys get my music, and maybe it is because it's got that almost like the Irish, English, like folk element to it. And I grew up listening to Kate Rusby. I like love Kate Rusby so much. I would like fall asleep listening to her records. I think she's brilliant. Yeah. Her and Cara Dillon and like John Martin and all these incredible, you know, English, Irish folk people. So that definitely comes across in my music. I'm really glad you said that. But yeah, I think it just, I don't know, I feel a bit more free to kind of create. And one thing I like about the UK is that you guys are like song people. Yeah. So it's like you listen to the song, and that's why I think country music is doing so well here, because it's all about the song. Definitely. So if you're like playing a festival like this and you don't sound like a country band, it doesn't really matter, because they're really just listening to the song and if they connect with it. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think you're a perfect fit in the way that there's so much going on. You listen to the big UK artists, relative of course, it's like Music Row level big. Yeah. But there is that element of the blues, there's the element of the folk, and it's not really US country. It doesn't align with that US country thing.
It's a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think your records really give that, and I can't wait to hear what's coming out.
Thank you. I can't wait to play for everybody. We're going to be playing a bunch of them tonight at the show.
Amazing.
So
yeah, we'll be there. I can't wait for them. I'll just ask you what's next.
So what's coming next is I've got all these songs I made in quarantine, and I'm just going to be releasing them, and then hopefully with a full length record in 2022. What year is it? 2021?
I think it's 2021.
It's 2021. 2022. I feel like 2020 was just like a wash, and so I'm like...
Does it count?
I don't think it counts.
I think we all just take a year off our age, nothing went forward, that's fine, right?
Yeah, everything's fine. I'm just going to we're in 2045 now. I don't know what happened. It's just
2020 didn't happen, so
blinked and here we are. But yeah, a new album coming out in the new year. So really excited
Perfect.
about that, and some shows. I'm so excited to play tonight, and then some other shows for the rest of the summer. So yeah.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much. It's been
Thank
great
you
to
so
talk to you.
much. Great talking
And
to you.
we'll see you later.
Yeah, see you next
Thank
time.
you.